1.
Hi, I'm Connie Cenac, the cruise queen. I happen to be on the Mazdam right now, MS Mazdam, on a 14-day Southern Caribbean cruise. But right now I just want to talk to you about some exciting locations that I consider some of my most memorable cruises and places I love going to on multiple occasions. One of those is New England. I love the New England cruise. I really enjoy taking the repositioning cruise from Fort Lauderdale, where they take the ship out of the Caribbean and they take it to New England to do the New England run and New England and Canada run that goes during the summertime. And so I like that one because I live in Florida, so it's easy for me to get to Fort Lauderdale, go up the coast, and Charleston, South Carolina is a neat little town, and then you make your way up the coast all the way to New England and the various ports of call up there. And I love Bar Harbor, Maine. The lobster there is great. I love Prince Edward Island, the home of the author of Anne of Green Gables. For all of you out there who know about Anne of Green Gables, if you haven't ever watched the movie, it's worth seeing 100 times. But Halifax is one of my favorite places. Halifax is the place where, when the Titanic sank and the rescue ships went there, they brought survivors to Halifax, and they also brought the bodies that were recovered from the sinking of the Titanic. And there were a lot of bodies that were not either, they weren't claimed by family. A lot of people in the third class cabins who were killed, they were poor, and there was no one to recover their bodies, or there were unidentified people that were recovered. So what they did is they have actually in Halifax a cemetery dedicated to the people who perished in that horrible tragedy. They also have a wonderful maritime museum there in Halifax. I love that museum because not only do they have all kinds of artifacts from the Titanic and stories about it, but they also had a terrible explosion in that city that killed so many people, and I believe it was during World War II. You know what? It could have been World War I, but I think either way, it was during one of the wars, and this explosion just was horrific. And it just has all the history of that. That Maritime Museum is, I go every time I go to Halifax. I love that place. Now, when the ship goes up into Canada, it goes through around into the St. Lawrence River. And not all the cruises do this, but there's this little town called Gaspé. And I love that town. And they have an incredible show. It is a full, like, Broadway production that's historical about the founding of that part of Canada. And it is incredible. They have horses and cannons shooting off, and I want to go back and I want to go see that show again. So that's what I call memorable. That's the kind of place I love, the kind I want to go back and see it again. And then, of course, there's Quebec City. I've been to Quebec City many times, not just on cruise ships. And my favorite place in that part of the world is Quebec City. It is, if you've never been there, it is beautiful. The old wall is actually, it has an old walled city, and it's like going into time. It's like taking an old town in or village in France and placing it in North America. And it's just, words can't describe it. You need to just go online and look up Quebec City. But the hotel Chateau Frontenac is just fabulous. Go check it out. They have a wonderful horse and buggy ride every time we go to Quebec City. We always take the horse and buggy ride. I love the cruise ships because most of the time they spend the night there in Quebec before they head on down to Montreal. Another fun thing to do in Quebec is to take the ferry boat across the St. Lawrence River right there in Quebec City. And there's this little bitty town, I mean small town, and you have to climb this cliff, the steps up this cliff, or you can hope for a taxi that'll take you there. And they have, it's one main street through town, and they have the best ice cream in the world. is in that little town. And I want to go to Quebec City just to have that ice cream. It is fabulous. And then they take it and they dip it in real Belgian chocolate. And it doesn't come out like really thin. It comes out like about that thick. It is like eating an ice cream cone. I mean, like a candy bar that's got ice cream in it. It is fabulous. When we were there, we met a couple from Montreal, which is a good 2.5 hour drive from Quebec City. And they come up every Sunday to have ice cream there. So that's another one of my places that every time I go there, I'm going to go have ice cream there. Those are just a few of the tips. You know, a fun thing to do is a back-to-back. Fly into Boston and do the 7-day trip to Montreal or Quebec, Quebec City, whichever one they stop at, and then head back to Boston, and that saves you on your airfare. Just a thought. But again, they do have a repositioning cruise in the spring when they take the ship from Fort Lauderdale to Boston, and then they have one or all the way to Montreal, and then they have the one in the fall where you can see all the fall foliage, and you head back down to Fort Lauderdale. So that's a thought. They're like 15-day cruises. They're a lot of fun. I could talk about that cruise for hours, but I don't think you want to spend that much time, so I'm just going to tell you, have a blessed day. This is Connie Cenac, the Cruise Queen. If you want to have help or advice on choosing the right cruise for you, then contact us at airseatraveljacks.com. This is Connie Cenac. See you later.